Welcome back to the program. Thank you most kindly for staying with us. We're going to switch gears now and talk about Nigeria's never-ending fight with corruption, because recently the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC, has raised alarm over the growing challenges that continue to undermine the agency's effectiveness. From security concerns, particularly fighting high-profile cases, to critical resource gaps that stifle its capacity, these issues continue to pose serious threats to the fight against corruption in Nigeria. The big question is, what does this mean for Nigeria's long-standing battle with the corruption epidemic? Joining us to shed light on these pressing concerns is Emmanuel Osemeka, a development expert and a public commentator known for his insightful, sometimes colorful take on these matters. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good evening, sir.
It's good to see you again. As always.
Colorful take.
Yeah, exactly. That's putting it nicely.
Yes.
Anyway, let's start things off with the take of the other anti-graft agency boss, who had a few takes regarding the struggle to fight corruption in Nigeria and what that says about where we are today as a country. Here's Olukayode, the boss of the EFCC.
It's all over the world now, preaching investment, even at his age, jumping everywhere, just for us to move forward. But over there, the people know what is going on. At the press of a button, they know whether your atmosphere, your environment is conducive for them to invest or not. They want to come to an environment where people will not, at the press of a button, swindle them of their capital. Where young boys who are supposed to be in school will not carry laptop and wipe off, their money and hack their accounts. They won't come to such an environment. So I said, for us, it is important for us to create an atmosphere that will encourage foreign direct investment and to also promote local economy as well. It's so unfortunate that a lot of people, even learned minds, don't appreciate what we're doing, and so unfortunate. We expect that because when you are fighting corruption, it's obvious that corruption will fight back. So we wait for all the challenges. We expect that. We are not perturbed by that. We will continue to work. We will continue to observe sleepless nights. Saturday, Sunday, we are here working. Irrespective of what people are saying about us, but what we know within ourselves is that we will do this work. Within the limit of our resources, we will be committed to the work. For you to recover 10 naira, perhaps 30, 40 naira has been stolen. So within a year, if you recover about 248 billion in naira and several millions of dollars, over $100 million, you imagine how much has been stolen in our system. And so that is the pathetic aspect of the story. You can't develop your system, your nation, without infrastructural development. As I'm talking to you now, we are still grappling with electricity. If you see some of the investigation we are carrying out within the power sector, you will shed tears. People who are awarded contracts to supply reclaim, instead of them using what they call 90 point something gauge, they will go and buy 5 point something gauge. So every time you see the thing tripping off, the thing get burnt and all of that, we are investigating all that. Collapses. That's part of our problems. Lack of implementation of these capital projects, capital budget, is one of our major albatross, one of our major problems in Nigeria. And if we are able to tackle that effectively, we will make progress as a nation.
The EFCC boss there, probably, some would say, opening yet again the Book of Lamentations to cry about how difficult the fight against corruption is, which once again signposts this difficult journey that Nigeria continues to undertake in its effort to fight corruption. But of course, we're hinging part of that conversation also on the comments from the ICPC chair, who was speaking to the Senate committee about the Commission's understaffing, as well as some of the challenges that they continue to face, especially in fighting high-profile cases, saying some of their personnel have to deal with security threats to their well-being because they do not have the resources to protect themselves and to undertake some of these vital investigations that could unearth some of these graft cases that, according to the EFCC chairman, is undermining the growth and development of the country. It's safe to say, Mr. Osemeka, that this is no news. We begin to sound like a broken record right now, repeating the same argument, the same conversation over and over again. But do you think this sheds new light into why this anti-corruption fight is not yielding the kind of results Nigerians expect?
First of all, they say for you to fight corruption, first you must be willing and must be ready. Some scholars say what's that simply, the summary of that is that you must have the political will to fight corruption headlong. Unfortunately, the last time that Nigeria fought corruption headlong, the way many of us probably didn't like, but it yielded quite a number of results, but with a lot of frenzy, was from 1999 to 2007. After 2007 till date, I think we've been playing what I would call in the local parlance kalu kalu with corruption and the anti-corruption fight. I mean, listening to the EFCC chairman, Dr. Lukayode, I mean, that guy is trained in fraud detection and prevention. That's his expertise. Of course, he's a lawyer. But you hear him talk about the corruption in Nigeria and what are the things that corruption is preventing the populace from getting. And he went further to talk about the investigation that they've carried out in the power sector, for example. EFCC, entered that, foray because ICPC failed to carry out that responsibility, because that is the core mandate of ICPC, is to prevent and tackle corruption-related activities within the ministries, MDAs, and of course every other government-related.
But isn't the justification can't we find the justification in what the chairman of the ICPC recently said to the Senate committee?
Yes.
That they are understaffed, grossly understaffed. You can tell from his assessment that he's trying to be as positive with the assessment, but basically the gist of the conversation is that they don't have the resources to get the job done.
So, I remember the last time I was in this studio, I think it was with the other colleague, and I told him that I'm sick and tired of all the excuses I hear all the time. Oh, the president is trying. Oh, the minister is trying. Oh, this head of agency is trying. Oh, these are the challenges this agency is having. And I'm like, excuse you. You were made the chairman of ICPC to carry out one simple task. And that simple task requires that you need staff members. And when you come and you do your SWOT analysis and you realize you need A or B or C, why are you coming to tell us on television? Or why are you coming to tell the National Assembly? What have you done? What level of advocacy have you carried out with the president, if that's whom you need to talk to? What level of advocacy have you carried out with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation? Have you reached out at least to the Senate committee or the House committee that oversights your agency? Why is it only AFCC that is functioning? Yes, I agree that some time back within the Orange, the report and the plan is that EFCC and ICPC and a few other agencies were meant to be merged. Ditto Fiscal Responsibility Commission. Ditto several other commissions. But they are not crying wolf like this.
Yeah, but the ICPC chairman is simply saying, listen, the other anti-graft agency gets all the funding, gets all the attention.
Why?
I suppose that question should be answered from all corners.
He should be able to answer the question, because
hasn't ICPC always been living in the shadow of the EFCC since inception?
No, I disagree. I remember I think it was in 2000 or thereabout, ICPC had one of their biggest cases at the time. They arrested quite a number of local government chairmen, even councillors at the time. And they made quite a remarkable recovery at the time. And they have quite a number of people in court. Some commissioners, some, quite a number of ministries, departments, and agencies of government personnel who have corrupted themselves and corrupted the system. Unfortunately, what I see all the time is that when you bring a competent man into a job or into a position, he finds a way to get the job done. When you bring a man who probably does not understand how and what. For example, excuse me for digressing, the Minister for Power, I was one of the people who pushed that he ought to have been removed, because for me, he has no clue what he's doing there. He was once a banker, a seasoned banker for that matter, because I had to investigate him. But today, he's telling us that we need, listen to the word, we need $10 billion to revamp the electricity sector. Excuse me, sir. Go and get the money. Stop telling us stories. Your job is to get your simple task is to get the job done. When you get the job done, then you can come and tell us, this is what it took to get the job done.
Isn't it easier said than done, though? Because when you get into government, you're dealing with competing demands, you're dealing with limited resources, and not to hold brief for any of them, but you know, every other country you look at, they're going through the motions when it comes to spending, right? With everything that's happening with the global economy right now. Is Nigeria an exception in this regard?
So let me give you a classical example. So I'll make an example of one or two persons. First, you have the Minister for Interior. That's Ojo, right? He came into the office like a man who understood what he was meant to do. He saw that there was this perennial corruption that has bedeviled the issuance of passport, Nigerian international passports. What did he do, sir? He tackled it headlong. Sir, did he need to go get extra people? Yes. Did he need to change the system there? Yes. Did he have to come to the television or go to the National Assembly to say, oh, these are my impediments? The answer is no. Two, I'll give you the Minister for, I think it's communication. Is it communication? Yeah, it's communication and digital economy. He's gotten grants for 3-point-something million youths. He's doing it quietly. So the next person is the big boy. I don't want to hold brief for him. I don't like him, but I like what he's doing. Wike. He came into FCT, he saw impediments. He saw challenges that would bedevil or that would, stifle his performance. He went to the president with a memo and said, Mr. President, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. With this, I cannot achieve this. And if I achieve this, it's to your credit. That's what performers do.
But we all know, to use George Orwell's expression, all animals are not equal, right? Not all the fingers in the government are equal. There are a lot of people who receive special attention, and that is exactly what the ICPC chairman is saying. That ICPC, while it is one of the 2 top anti-graft agencies in the country, is receiving less attention, less resources. It is understaffed. It has only offices across 22 states. We have 36 states of the federation, and so on and so forth. And that in itself is a part of the problem.
Okay, I agree. So let me concede. You have limited number of staff, so it's an impediment. Sir, out of 36 or 36 with the FCT, you have 22 presence. What have you done? Can he give me one state where they've done a yeoman's job? At least let's start with that.
Are you dismissing the concerns raised?
No, I'm not dismissing.
Are you invalidating it?
I'm not invalidating. I'm saying, sir, I need to get to Lagos, right? I need to get to Lagos. I had a 8 o'clock flight, and I have a 12 noon meeting. Very important meeting. A meeting that I must be there. And I get to the airport by 8 a.m. Am I serious with my flight, sir? And the meeting?
Some would say that analogy is not fair.
Okay, so
because you're dealing with budgets, you're dealing with funds that are either released or unreleased, you're dealing with a recruitment process that has to go through the Civil Service Commission, and so on and so forth.
Do you have everything you need to do this your job? Everything you need. Do you have it? The answer is no. I'm not waiting for you to answer me. You don't have all that you require or that you need to be able to perform.
I have all that is necessary for me to do the job.
Likewise, the ICPC. Likewise, sir, they defend their budget year in, year out. He should buy what he was given last year. Tell us, what did he achieve? And tell us the things he could not achieve as a result of these known or obvious impediments. But you cannot receive so much and still complain that, oh, you were not able to achieve anything because you don't have 30. That is lane for to find the most appropriate words. For me, sir, what I'm saying is, if you have presence in Lagos, Anambra, FCT, Kaduna, Kano, Borno, wherever, can you focus on the tasks you can focus on in those locations? You have the powers to do that. If there are states you don't have presence, and for whatever reason you've discovered that there is a need to carry out certain investigation in those places, you can move your staff from the closest states to those places and carry out that. What it means is that you're going to stifle the task that is going on in that presence. Yes, that is where you come in with clear empirical evidence to show the Senate and the House to say, look, in this coming budget, you need to improve my budget.
You talk about some of the achievements so far, while detailing the significant recoveries of assets and cash made by the Commission. The chairman said that in 2023, the ICPC received about 1,187 petitions, assigned 275 cases for investigation, filed 63 in court, and secured 18 convictions. From January to October this year, they received 851 petitions, signed 43 cases, and secured 13 convictions. Now, he also, in response, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption, as well as Financial Crimes Commission chair, commended ICPC for its high standards of professionalism in the fight against corruption in the country. But to buttress the point he made about the understaffing and why they're ineffective, he said their personnel face security risks, especially during high-stake investigations, making it critical to provide them with adequate security measures, right? Similar to those granted to other agencies, because he said currently they have just 21, actually, not even 22 state offices, but they're severely understaffed and under-resourced, which affects their efficiency nationwide. I mean, surely you see the point there, that it's not necessarily about the man. It's an institutional gap that cannot be wished away.
I get it. I get the point. But 18 conviction is poor. 18 conviction is poor. In the midst of... See, I commend him for...
Isn't fighting corruption a slow and...
I mean, that's why people like us feel that there's no need to have ICPC and have EFCC. It's better they just merge the two agencies, because they have these overlapping responsibilities. What ICPC is doing can be done by EFCC. What EFCC is doing may not necessarily be able to be done by ICPC. ICPC cannot swallow EFCC. Rather, EFCC can swallow ICPC. Why? EFCC has been able to go beyond just the regular subventions that come from government. They go as far as getting grants. Why is ICPC not also going in that direction? Those are some of the things you need to look at.
ICPC gets grants?
Yes. They do. They get trainings. You can get
Doesn't the EFCC also and that is when ICPC says there are issues that should take a look at, because he says that EFCC is unable to answer 2% recovery
interventions That's how you get results. You don't get results.
The politics of governance is the problem of the ICPC.
In my view, yes. I think the chairman and his board, they've not been able to clearly understand, or they do understand, they've not been able to fully utilize what is available to them.
Is it because the people who are undermining or standing in the way are the same people that ICPC needs to investigate?
It could be, but there is a precedent. That's why I started by saying that there must be a determination to fight. There must be a will to fight. Yes, it's not easy to, turn the wheels of the state apparatus. It's pretty difficult because they are quite entrenched. That's why your friend Donald Trump feels that he needs to, drain the swamp. And unfortunately, sometimes when you look at the swamp, he's part of the swamp. So when he drains, he's going to drain himself. But the fact, back to Nigeria, the fact for me is that, in my personal view, and I stand to be corrected, I have not seen, both in words, action, and body language of Mr. President, that he has the determination and political will to fight corruption in Nigeria since he came on board. One of the key reasons why I would say that is that I've put this before forward. I said one of the errors he made was that he shouldn't have made the announcement of subsidies gone because everybody knew that subsidy was gone. But by making that announcement, he practically removed subsidy without proper planning. But if you allow the system to take its normal course, it will now be that, people will start complaining, this and that. He will now sit down and say, what are the issues? And first, what I expected him to do was to investigate the 96 million liters per day that they were paying subsidy on. He has failed to do that. When the last time that such investigation happened, we were doing about 66 million liters per day. And at least a notable politician just finished serving 5 years sentence for bribery and corruption on that. And many other subsidy collectors returned monies. If we were able, through this president, institute an inquiry on the veracity of all that the President Buhari paid, the 6 trillion, the 3 trillion, whatever trillions that were paid for subsidy, trust me, my brother, you'll be shocked that we're not paying up to 2 trillion naira as subsidy.
We have a couple of seconds to wrap things up,
yes.
But in your view, is the goal to totally stop or eradicate corruption, or to just mitigate it? In a few seconds.
You cannot eradicate corruption. There is no society without corruption, including the Americas, including Vatican City. You can reduce corruption drastically by institutionalizing mechanisms and using technology, in your governance system.
Right. And are we heading in the right direction? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Thanks for the colorful analysis, as always, and commentary. Mr. Emmanuel Osemeka, it's always a pleasure to have you join us for this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on Daily Politics tonight.
Thank you, sir.
And as always, thank you most kindly for your time on the program. We'll be back tomorrow with a special edition of the program. Feel free to join us. We'll be back live at 8 p.m. Do well to follow us across our social media platforms. Also check out our website, trusttv.com. Until next time, my name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Good evening.